On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with the rate of growth you're seeing in your business right now? If you're anything less than 10, it could be that your business needs ethical influence. Today I'm going to give you 3 signs that ethical influence could be the solution to your problem. My name's Tim Stern. I'm a former detective with the New Zealand Police, and I've spent more than a decade using the soft skill of interpersonal influence in the high-stakes world of investigations and intelligence operations. The very same understanding of human behaviour and communication skills that enabled me to get results in my career could be exactly what you need to achieve sustainable growth in your business. 3 C's that may be signs that your business needs ethical influence: conflict, connections, and closing. So sign number 1, you've got internal conflict within your business. I dealt with a business recently where they'd had a employee promoted to a team leadership position, so sort of that middle management level. So they'd been given some new responsibilities, some new leadership responsibility. Now the changes in and of themselves were good changes. They were creating efficiencies in the business. They were providing solutions to real problems within the business. But the issue was the way they went about making those changes. Once they got into that position of power, they started making the changes without really consulting with the staff, and they were unable to bring the rest of their team along with them. Instead of persuading people of the need for change, they just dictated. They went with a command and control approach, just told people what to do, and then got really frustrated when the other employees wouldn't come along with them. Ultimately, this resulted in a complete breakdown of the team dynamics. It also, of course, resulted in a whole lot of lost productivity because people were more focused on this conflict than actually getting the job done. So what was the problem here? Well, the leader, the person who had been promoted into this position of leadership, hadn't been trained in the soft skill of interpersonal influence. They weren't listening to the other staff. They weren't identifying their desires and motivations. They weren't making it about them. They weren't anticipating what sort of obstacles and resistance they're going to encounter as they made changes. Instead, they were just trying to force the changes through. These are all basic interpersonal skills that were completely missing from their repertoire, and it cost the organisation. If this sounds familiar, perhaps the leaders in your business could do with some ethical influence training. And then we've got connections. You're not making new connections. Now, for businesses to grow, you've got to have a growing network. I know that. I run my own small business. I know that networking, building new relationships, is absolutely key. Let me tell you a story about a law firm. This is a fairly large law firm, and they have made a habit of sending their juniors along to networking events in the city in which they operate. Now, of course, these networking events, the whole point is that staff are supposed to make new connections, go up and introduce themselves to people, represent the company, build rapport, build relationships, because a law firm is offering a really valuable solution to really big problems. So any one of these people that they meet at a networking event could be looking for that solution. The problem was this law firm was sending their junior staff along, and the staff, instead of getting out and mingling in the crowd and making new connections and potentially bringing a new business, were sitting in the corner drinking by themselves. They had to be coaxed out of the corner and introduced to people to make these connections. Now that ability to just walk up to strangers, to introduce yourself, to find areas of commonality, of similarity, to build rapport with people and start building a relationship is again one of the basics of interpersonal influence. It's about asking good questions of the other person, taking a genuine interest in the other person, and listening more than you're talking. And this law firm just didn't have it. And as a result, they were potentially leaving a whole lot of money on the table. So take a moment to think about your business network. Is it growing? Are there new clients coming in? Are your people building relationships with new people that you hadn't known before? Are you making the most out of networking events, for example, which are a fantastic opportunity, but not if you're going to go and sit in the corner and not talk to people? If this is a gap for you in your business, perhaps again, interpersonal influence could be the solution. And the 3rd C, closing. You're just not closing sales. I was talking to a business recently who had this exact problem. They had a great sales team, a sales team that were going to networking events and were building relationships, new relationships with potential clients. And in fact, those relationships were progressing along quite nicely, but what they weren't doing was actually asking the question. They were perhaps afraid of what sort of obstacles or resistance they might meet, so they just weren't able to progress that relationship. Now again, this was costing this business, and the person I talked to was quite frustrated by that because he could see the potential and was just being held back by the inability of his people to close the sale. Again, perhaps this is an issue for you. You've got a great bunch of people working for you, but they just need that extra push to be able to anticipate obstacles, anticipate resistance, have strategies to overcome that resistance, and to close a sale in a manner that is not resorting to coercion or manipulation, a manner that's ethical. I call this ethical influence, and it may be just what you're looking for. Now, this is my first YouTube video in this space, so it may be that this is the first time you've ever heard of me. If that's the case, why don't you just take 2 minutes to go and check out my website, timstern.com. The training I offer, both in person and virtually, could be just what it takes to get your business growing in a way that is sustainable in the long term.